Hello and welcome to my channel, Bevy with Beth. I'm Beth, and here on this channel I talk all about polycystic ovarian syndrome, the symptoms, how to cope with them, and how they affect me in my everyday personal life. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below to catch my videos every single week. And today we're going to be talking about fighting fatigue with exercise. So I know that might sound a little bit counterproductive or what's the word, a juxtaposition, it doesn't make sense how tiredness can be overcome by exercise. And this is something I've spoken about on my channel before, with how to do exercise even though we have fatigue and all that kind of thing, but I wanted to kind of touch on it and broaden it a little bit more now that I also have some experience of successfully increasing the amount of exercise that I do without impacting my fatigue, and kind of how that's worked for me. The first thing to know is obviously why we'd want to do more exercise. And I think the main thing is the fatigue. That when we have chronic fatigue, although rest can be incredibly helpful, one of the best ways that I've found is getting the balance between rest and doing exercise. If I don't do any exercise, this feeds into my fatigue. If I over exercise, this of course compounds my fatigue. So it's about trying to get that balance. And if you can increase the amount of exercise you do without exhausting yourself, you will find that your fatigue is less, or at least that's what I've found. So I'm trying to impart some of that wisdom to you today. So the other thing is that doing exercise, and when I say exercise, I do just mean moving your body. I don't necessarily mean doing some form of hard hitting cardio or having like incredibly ripped muscles and getting into a bodybuilding. Like, I'm not talking about the extremes of exercise here. I'm just talking about moving your body. And by moving our body in a way that's sustainable and beneficial to us, it has the added benefit of really helping with mental health. And I think this largely has things to do with the fact that it gets us out. Like, most of the time we'll be going outside to do something, going to a different location, removing ourselves from the everyday activities and doing something different. That just doing that, actually, no matter what that is, whether it's actual physical exercise, whether it's taking a vacation, whether it's visiting a friend or going to a favorite restaurant, the very act of itself of leaving your everyday, whether that's your house or your work or just your routine, can be really beneficial for our mental health. And then the physical activity itself obviously has endorphins and all these other things that chemically support our mental health as well. And since, as we know, I've talked about mental health on this channel before, PCOS and bad mental health go hand in hand because of the chemical imbalances that we're experiencing. So anything that we can do that will support our mental health journey is well worth investing in. And then the last one, which I'm hesitant to put in here, but it is a thing. So it will also encourage weight loss. And whilst I don't think doing anything simply because it will help you lose weight is a good goal to have, when weight loss is something that we want to do, or maybe we need to do for medical reasons, at the end of the day, I can't escape the fact that societally, most of us want to lose weight, and exercise is a good way of doing this, mainly because of the benefits that I've mentioned before, that since the weight loss will simply be, even if it's unintended, even if you're doing the exercise for the other two reasons and it's got nothing to do with weight loss is something that is going to occur as we move our bodies more. And since weight loss can also result in lots of other good things, although it's more like good things result in weight loss rather than like the losing weight doesn't actually benefit you. It's that when you benefit yourself, you lose weight. That it has to be included in this list of things that will be a positive from increasing your exercise. Before we get into my top tips for how to actually go about increasing your exercise to overcome or despite having fatigue. I want to talk a little bit about what might be stopping you from just doing that naturally already. You know, like, why have we gone so long with PCOS and we're still in this situation where our fatigue is ruling us? We don't want to do exercise. What is holding us back? And the main thing, the first thing that came to my mind was, of course, mindset. It's very easy to see it as all or nothing. I spoke before about not over exercising. I'm not talking about doing heavy cardio, muscle building. I'm just talking about moving your body in a way that feels good to you. And sometimes when we decide that we want to do something, especially when it's changing a routine or adding something to our routine, we tend to kind of go all in, and we'll go from literally not doing any exercise to trying to run 5K every night. Or we'll have not swam since we were at school and now we're going to go to the swimming pool every morning. And I think that mindset is firstly really difficult to get going when you think, oh, I have to go from doing nothing to now exercising 5 times a week. But also it means that when we start to do it, we fail at it. And so possibly we've had past experiences of trying to exercise and it's just like, oh no, I can't do it because of my fatigue. And I think if that is how you're feeling, and I know that I have felt that way as well, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, why did I fail? Right? Is this idea that because I failed in the past, I'll fail again now really true? Is there some things that you did that you can look back on and say, actually, I did this incorrectly, and so now I can make a change and approach this from a new perspective and do things better, make it easier for myself and aid myself towards success. Speaking of success, I think another thing that often holds us back is setting the goal too high. So I mentioned about things like exercising 5 times a week, or doing an exercise like swimming that we haven't done since we were a child, or something like that, which means the end goal, which might be to work out several times a week, is trying to be reached immediately, and that's not going to set us up for success. So again, we might have had that like past, or we've done it before and it didn't work, and then we can also have this like looking to the future of what we want to achieve and just seeing it as this massive mountain that is impossible. So why even start? But I'll get into some tips on how to kind of overcome that in the next section. And I think the other thing is, because weight loss is tied with exercise, very often we try to increase our exercise whilst also lowering our food intake. And especially when it comes to fatigue, this is such a bad idea. And so we end up exacerbating ourselves by asking ourselves to do too much with too little to go on, and then set ourselves up for failure. And now we've got a repeat failures from our past where we just don't think it's possible anymore. I think that's another thing that often holds us back, is we don't think we've ever made any progress. We just see things as a complete failure rather than appreciating the steps that we have been able to make. So having looked at why we'd want to do it, looking at some of the things that might hold us back from doing it or starting it even, now I've got 3 tips on how to start, keep going, and have success. So the first tip is to start slow. We can't go from not doing any exercise or doing very little exercise and add on to it and try and reach the goal of our optimum level of exercise every day or every week in a day. We can't go from one to the other, especially with fatigue. You really need to build it slowly and take every day or even every week, depending on what exercise you're doing, how often you can do it, and where you're starting from, doing little increases every day, every week, however you can manage that. And you might have to do like a bit of testing. Like maybe you think you can increase your walking by 5 minutes every day, but then you might hit a spot, say half an hour of walking in a day, that suddenly you're like, oh, now I can't do any more because I get too tired. And so you need to stick at 30 minutes for a while and all that kind of stuff. So just keep it in little bite-sized, day to day or week to week progress increments, increasing what you're already doing. And the next thing is, as you increase this exercise, also increase what you're eating. So I don't necessarily mean doubling your portion size. I don't mean every time you do some exercise, you go out and have a McDonald's as a treat. But in particular, increasing the amount of protein you're eating as you're doing more strenuous exercise really supports your body in achieving what you want it to physically. If you start starving it, and you start exercising it, your body just shuts down and says, oh no, I can't do this. And so especially if you're looking at a lower, reduced, or completely sugar-free, we can't really do sugar-free, but you know what I mean, keto diet, if you've got that low sugar intake and then you try and do exercise before your body knows how to manage this change in diet, then you're going to struggle with it. So I'd definitely say that for PCOS, changing your diet first, reducing that sugar out of your diet before worrying about increasing or changing your exercise is definitely more key. If you continue to eat the sugar and then start the exercise, then it isn't going to work. It isn't going to make any difference. It is going to exacerbate your fatigue. So you need to reduce the sugar that you're eating first. And then once you've got a happy balance with your diet and you're happy with what you're eating, then you can do the exercise. And as you increase your exercise, you can look at focusing more on consuming protein. And obviously I'd encourage you to do research or consult a professional about how much protein you should be eating and all that kind of stuff. So that's a little bonus tip there when you focusing on protein, but making sure that you're not trying to starve your body and force it to do more exercise. Make sure you're feeding yourself enough calories with what you're eating before you then go out and try and burn a load more. And then the last thing is to break down the goal, whatever it is you want to achieve, then set up actual rewards. And if food is your reward, then I think that's absolutely fine, because if it's a motivator to keep you going, then go for it, do it. It can be whatever feels good to you, whatever gives you that dopamine hit. Every time you achieve those small things, give yourself a reward, because this is such an important way of helping yourself, supporting your own body, supporting your own mind to be able to continue to do something that could be a little bit difficult. Like it's always challenging to change a habit, but when it comes to something with exercise and fatigue, then it can be extra difficult. But we can have success by doing these small little things, by focusing on the little wins, by making sure that we're feeding ourselves well, and then just gently increasing the amount of exercise we do. Certainly we will find ourselves a year down the line feeling much better, doing lots of exercise, and probably having lost some weight as well. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions or any of your own tips, leave them in the comments down below so that we can start sharing them with everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.